a reprise, a reprise. Of course, it won't work. Nothing ever works. I can't do that. Can't do it. Not gonna do it. I guess you're saved. You're saved by my equipment. You're saved from hail from my equipment. Hey, first one. Yeah, of course. I don't understand technology. Hey, everybody. Look, it's 12:39. It's going to take people a while to get on. And I assume most people have better things to do than sit inside. It's a gorgeous day outside. Kentucky Derby. Looks like this guy, Journalism, is going to win. But remember about the Derby. It's totally unpredictable. Totally unpredictable. I wish I were there. According to Yahoo Sports, let's see if they give the odds. I said, baby, 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 you're out of time. I said, baby, 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 you're out of time. All right, so they have Citizens Bull, 20-1, whatever that is, Neoquist, 30-1, Final Game at 31, American Promise, 31, and Meyer Daytona, 31, Luxor Cafe, 15-1. Journalism, that's the one, 3-1. Burnham Square, 12-1. Flying, they're all crap. Sandman, 6-1. Sovereignty, 5-1. You know what I'd do? I'd go in there and I'd put journalism on one ticket. I'd put journalism overall. Because I think it looks like journalism's going to win. But that'll be fun. Too bad you're not there. Too bad I'm not there. Ham's not in Singapore. Ham's going to come on today. I didn't write the time. Ham's coming on here at 2 p.m. And the reason I started early is I'm not going to be able to stay after he gets off because I have to go get my hair cut. And then I'm going to meet my sister for dinner. So after Ham will be on at 2 p.m. today. After he's finished, I'm not going to stay on much longer afterwards. So that's why I came on early, because I know secretly you want to hear what I think, not just what Ham thinks. Although you don't admit it, everybody comes on. Tony, I have no dinero. That's why I day trade with nobody's money. Comes on and calls me a crackpot, and he takes a quote out of hours of presentations. One quote, calls me a crackpot. Well, I don't know, Tony. I can't call him a crackpot, but I do know that Norm Macdonald once did a Saturday Night Live. I wonder if it would pop up. Maybe it would. Maybe a clip of it would pop up. Norm Macdonald. Who was the actor? Oh. Let's see if it comes up.
If I tell this joke, my wife is going to be so mad at me.
That's not it. Here it is. Here it is. Guess that's not it.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we seem to be the victims of some kind of hoax. That was clearly not Dr. Lambert-Kurlovsky, and also I must say he was totally different in the pre-interview. So once again, I apologize. Well, if I can be allowed a personal opinion, I think Harrison Ford's new mustache worked.
Oh, darn it. That wasn't very good. That wasn't a very good clip. I said, baby, 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 I had a time. I said, baby, 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 you're right. All right, let's see if I can find it. Of course not. I can never find something when or let me Google it differently. I said, baby, baby, baby. Oh. Yeah, I can't find it, darn it. All right. Anyway, don't worry about it. It's not that funny. He does this thing where he says, if you're allowed, I just heard the beginning, if I'm allowed a personal opinion, Harrison Ford's new mustache works. And then he shows a picture of a young Harrison Ford with a mustache. Then he says, if by works, you mean, it's really gay. That's what he says. I think GBUX, Ramon. Look, let's just go through GBUX again. People have, I guess, modern generations have no real memory anymore, and now that I'm older, I don't have a memory. So we're a fine pair. GBUX. Pros. All right, on GBUX, here's the positives. They've announced, you can look it up, they've announced a letter of intent from an Abu Dhabi investment group or slash agent. $212 million is coming into GBUX for 30% of the company. Number one, that's a shitload of money. Number two, that's not a lot of percent. Number two, on the pros, there's no dilution. Apparently, although we don't know for sure, apparently this 30% is coming from a current shareholder. But that's not very clearly, explicitly stated, so we have to wait and find out how it works out. There's no toxic financing. The overhead will be covered by the income that this 200 million generates. There's a low float. These are the pros of an investment in GBUX. And an investment in GBUX is speculative. And you're just chasing a if you invest, quote unquote, invest in GBUX, it's highly speculative and you're just chasing a short squeeze. In my judgment, that's how I would look at it. I mean, they're going to give you an argument for the long-term story, but you're hoping for a short squeeze. Why could it squeeze? I'm going to give you the negatives though, but first I want to give you the reason I think it can surprise, but I could be wrong. Okay. Okay, so GBUX. Now, a lot of this is information from Ham. So, you know, you got to judge, is that what you want to rely on? I think it's been a short time frame in GBUX. GBUX was 75 cents when Ham first brought it to our attention at the end of December. He said it was from Goldman Sachs. He said it's going to do big things next year. December, believe it or not, it's not that long ago. That's January, February, March, April. It's only 100 some odd days ago, 120, 130 days ago. So in my judgment, I don't know how the cockroaches scurry, but the criminals haven't had enough time to move these trades offshore, move them to Alpine, move them to Anson funds, move them to Germany. That's my guess. Apparently, it's just a couple or a handful of trapped shorts who are weak. They don't really have a lot of money behind them. There's no toxic financing there, so it's probably not the big boys. But remember, these shorts all know each other. They all help each other out. But if these two things are correct, if I'm correct, they haven't had enough time to scamper under the refrigerator and under the range, and they don't have any real money behind them. And frankly, that's how the trading looks to me. But you got to remember, I left the business before Bill Clinton changed the rules. So my pattern recognition the clutch may not engage or may not disengage, whatever way you want to look at it. The gear may not engage. And then finally, the dividend is in 2 weeks, 2 Fridays. So this puts a time frame for your investment. Let me put it this way. If they don't complete the deal that they've already announced within the next 2 weeks, I'd walk away from this trade. But if they do complete it in the next 2 weeks, you have a potential for what GBUX has already done anyway. Go to 8, go to 10, go to 12, and maybe it does a whole lot more. What are the negatives? And I think there are negatives. The cons, the cons. So this is GBUX, the cons. I think it's been a lot of it's been manipulated, or a better word would be orchestrated. A lot of moving parts orchestrated that may or may not work. I think these dividends are a gimmick. They work, but when they come out, they just sound like desperation to me. They sound like, oh, the other things aren't working, so you're going to do a dividend. Anyway, you can judge the depth of that negativity. The deal isn't done yet. Why not? Why not? If they're all so hot to trot on it, why hasn't it finished? That's a concern. Remember, the shorts, I know you're not thick-headed, but I just have to keep saying the same damn things over and over again. The shorts, when they see an indication of interest, a memorandum of understanding, which the SEC requires to be announced, the shorts get into action. Let's sell the son of a bitch stock off. Let's sell stock that doesn't exist. Let's crush the price of the stock. That way, the guy getting shares is going to say, oh no, I don't want to do that deal anymore. It was $5 when I agreed the deal. Now it's $1. You owe me 5 times as many shares. Because all of us are trained to believe the bullshit that the stock price contains all of the information you need to know. That's what they train us to think. So I think the fact that the deal's not done is a warning. Shorts always win. Every stock we've been in, the shorts always seem to win. Finally, your risk in this stock is it goes back to 75 cents. In a panic, it could go lower. That's your risk. Why are you in the stock? This is why you're in the stock. The risk is you lose, I don't even know where it's trading. You lose a couple of bucks. The upside may be 750, but it could squeeze. That's why you're in the stock, because you think it could squeeze and it could bloody make you rich. I don't know how high it goes in a squeeze. Ham says over 100. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to squeeze. It's taking a little bit long to get this deal done. And then it's a short fuse. My opinion, if it runs in the next 2 weeks, great. If it doesn't, sell it and move on. Now, what you're really is bothering you, Ramon, is everybody's all in finger motion and you don't want to miss out on finger motion, and you just don't want to be the sucker that's not in finger motion. Well, I understand that. I understand that. But finger motion has its own risks and rewards. Every stock does. Remember, this is a game of making money. It doesn't matter if everybody on this board gets rich in finger motion and you miss out on that, but you're in GBUX and you make your money in GBUX. So you got to be your own thinker. For what it's worth, I'm trying to think of the stocks. I mean, you've got GDC and ZJYL constantly out there. I don't think those are dead, but I don't know when. I don't know any urgency on them, but they could pop up out of the blue. I don't think they're out of the game. But Ramon, the reason most people are listening to these stocks is they got hooked on Phonics. They got hooked on GME exploding to the upside and all the bullshit of the roaring rabbit. And then they got hooked on AMC. And that's an adrenaline rush. That's the joy of the first snort of cocaine. But then the next snorts, weeks, months later, they don't have the same effect. And then you got to keep juicing it and going further, harder, faster, adding thrills, speeding, girls, music, booze, other drugs, because you don't get that same thrill you got the first time. That's what's going on. I think we are running out of time to play this particular game because I think, look, the market's been here for hundreds of years. It'll always be here. There'll always be opportunities. But I mean, I can be one of the most stubborn people, thick-headed, and as a guy, I will put in the time I'll delay gratification. But I think those quick run-ups, I didn't play AMC or GME, but Finger ran early on, and then it ran again, and GTII ran, and then it ran again, and like my kid's sister went to private school. What's the name of it? Stone Ridge. She had a gym teacher, and I guess she wasn't much of an athlete. Her daughter is, so. But her gym teacher would make her run laps, the whole class run laps. And she'd yell out, "Well, now, girl, you better run." And that's what happened. These stocks were running. "Well, now, girl, you better run." They're not running all the time anymore. We still chase it. We're still chasing it. We're still chasing it. It's like catching lightning in a bottle, as they say. And It's difficult. And yet we still chase it. We still chase it. We still chase it. Guys, you don't understand. Ramon, you don't understand. These markets, these stocks, GBUX. Now I didn't trade it from 75 cents. I mean, I didn't get in when Ham came on at 75 cents. It's going to have a big year and all that. If I had had more money, maybe I would have purchased 1,000 shares. I didn't. But that went up to 8, 10, 12. Those kind of moves are unheard of. In a matter of coming on and saying in January, this stock's going to have a big year, and it does 10x, that is unbelievable. 10 times your investment in a quarter? Unbelievable. But if you're like me, you've been listening and you're saying, I know this is the one, it's going to go. So you wait, and then it pulls back. The other side, they're evil. I don't mean evil in a moral sense. I mean evil in a machine sense, in a Terminator sense, in a non-feeling sense, in an automatic execution of trades sense. We don't care about anything. We're not scared. We're just going to sell. Their only thing they have to do is sell. And they have to keep the strong. It's not emotional. Just set the button on the computer to sell. So when GBUX is 75 cents, they sell. When it's $1, they sell. When it's $2, they sell. When it's $5, they sell. When it's $8, they sell. When it's $10, they sell. When it's $12, they sell. And eventually, they're just selling fictitious shares. Shares they've borrowed and rehypothecated and Xeroxed over and over again. Here's my $10 to get into the bar, and if you need more, I've made copies of that same $10. So here's my $10 to get in the bar, but here's Xerox copies of that $10 bill so I can buy my first round, and here's the second Xerox copy so I can buy my second round. Here's the third Xerox copy so I can tip the band. Here's the fourth and fifth and sixth Xerox copy so I can go back in the back room and get a little yum with one of your girls. And here's the 8th and 9th and 10th copy so I can buy a bottle of champagne. The only real one was the first one. That's what these guys do. They just Xerox shares. So their supply of selling is endless. Our buying runs out. They know that. They know that. They don't come on and come up with questions. Well, William, when do you think GBUX is going to go down? They don't need my advice. Why? Because the key to their victory is never lose nerve. So they don't. They disengage from the trade and they turn on their computers. Just sell, 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 sell. Now, where I think, if Ham's right, where I think it's different in GBUX's case, but I don't know if Ham's right. I mean, these are rumors, but the difference in GBUX's case is they didn't do a deal with Anson Funds. They didn't do a deal with Lynn Partners. They didn't do a deal with Ari Rubenstein. They didn't do a deal with Yorkville. They didn't do a deal with Lynn Partners. Apparently, it's just some cowboys down in Boca Raton. Frankly, it's just probably some Jewish guys down in Boca Raton selling stock they don't own. I don't know what Jewish guys are. They're not cowboys. They're nerds. couple of nerds. I don't know what nickname to give them. They're probably not cowboys. So one way to interpret it is that they're tracked. And that's how the stock trading looked to me. The stock trading, I don't know, about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and then maybe 3 weeks ago, it looks to me that way. It makes sense to me. But then it didn't break out. So you got to start thinking, well, why didn't it break out? Where you have to be suspicious, deal, and it's not finalized. Do you remember GTII? They announced the big deal of the law firm, and it goes on and on and on and on and on. I believed it. But I think in retrospect, whoever announced that deal never intended that deal to go through. Could that happen here? I don't know. But it's a risk. I forgot one of the negatives with GBUX. That market cap is massive. Massive. And the shorts may have got, it's underneath the, I don't know, 700 million price that the investor, it's been stated publicly in press release the investor wants to pay. It's now below that. So the criminals can work their magic, and maybe that investor says, sure, I'll do it. But now I want 45% of the company. And that, by the way, is the only logical reason why the deal isn't finished yet. Because the investor's asking for more. It's human nature. So the deal might fall apart. Now, the reason I said that, I didn't say, I guess I said it the way you wrote it, but I didn't say it's a certainty. But it might surprise us is if they get the deal done, it's going to happen in the next 2 weeks, I think, because otherwise the dividend comes out and they got to start from scratch in the negotiations because the guy's going to want his dividend. So I think it's a short fuse, which makes it an interesting investment. All right, I don't know where it closed. I'm gambling $3. It's a gamble. I'm gambling $3. It could go down to $1, so I could lose $2. And I think it's going to triple in a reasonable case scenario, but it has the potential to squeeze if these two guys down in Boca Raton are really trapped. Ham says it can go over 100. Let's just say I can maybe make 20 times my money. Goes to 60. That's your risk reward. That's why you're in it. The chance of making $60 a share from $3 in 2 weeks, that's why you're in it. Odds of that happening, I think you have to admit that the odds of that scenario transpiring, I can't even think of a hot chick anymore that's your age. But it'd be like, the odds of a hot chick not be already having a boyfriend. It's very low, very low, very low. So I would give it 5 to 20% odds of success that the stock could explode in a short squeeze. I'd give it 60% odds that it could go up over the next 2 weeks back to $6 range. I give it 40% or whatever's left that it just stays where it is, and if it stays where it is past 2 weeks, then it collapses. So that's GBUX. GBUX is a speculative lottery ticket that's probably going to be, I don't know about worthless, but in your mind it'll be worthless in 3 weeks. They'll have all the news. Oh, it's going to, if it gets delayed, oh, it's still going to happen, still going to happen. I'm gone by then. I'm gone. Now, Ramon, I don't think you're going to have time, but I think NIXX is a better place to be next week, next 2 weeks. Yeah, but GBUX could go. Yes, it could. Yes, it could. But I think NIXX, it's the same numbers, but NIXX has a market cap of, cotton candy compared to an elephant. And it's got a lot of things too lined up. So I like NIXX right now. Right now, I like NIXX better than GBUX. I'm talking short term, boy. I'm talking short term. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. No one seems to be interested, but if you're nervous, and I'm not saying you are, your GBUX can probably buy, for 1 share GBUX, you can probably buy 10 shares of Railtown. Maybe it's only 8. I don't remember. Assuming GBUX is $3 and assuming Railtown is 30 cents, for every 1 share of GBUX, you can buy 10 shares of Railtown. Now, everyone's going to be, the adrenaline's going to be flowing on finger motion. It's so exciting. Hey, we got to be in it. We got to be in. I get it. I get it. But if you can suppress your emotions, and I'm talking about myself, I'm not picking on you. If you can suppress your emotions and say, wait a minute, I'm trying to make money. Nobody's buying Railtown. You would make a good point that nobody's really buying GBUX right now. That would be a good point. But GBUX is up 4x from where it was at 75 cents. So it's already up. Railtown's not really up. In fact, it's down from when I called it to your attention, I think. But it's certainly down from my paltry IRA price, 39 cents or something. It's down from that. So if you want to take that urgent, that alarm bell off the table, that nervousness off the table, that worry off the table, I don't really understand why I'm in GBUX. It's already worth 400 million. Counting on moving parts, it may work out. It may go to 100. But if I think about GBUX in a more sober light, last time it ran, it went to 10. I don't know, 8, 12. Let's just say 9. It went to 9. So it's $3 right now. That's 3x is probably my sweet spot on that trade, 3x. But if I come over, if I put that same money into Railtown, nobody's excited. There's no conference calls on it. People aren't buying calls. People aren't jumping up and down, bragging how much they own. Yeah, but I go my own way. I'm a Sigma male. I'm not a beta male. I'm not a sissy. So I'm going to say to myself, I buy Railtown at 30 cents. Railtown's in the same time frame as all these other stocks. Their news is 12 weeks old. But I don't really understand that one either. That's the problem. You don't understand what you're investing in. But let me just tell you, Railtown, if they get this deal done, Railtown will be dramatically more valuable than it was as an R&D company. What's that number? No one can tell. If they get the deal done, Railtown will be viewed as having enormous future revenues and profits. The market, believe it or not, in real stocks that, what I mean by that, these stocks we're doing, they're all good teams, but stocks that have gotten away from Jeff Easton, gotten away from Ari Rubenstein, gotten away from Kurt Kramer, and now actually live in the world of real investors, real research, real rules, level playing fields, and research reports and buy recommendations that brokers act on. Well, when that happens, future good news gets discounted, brought forward to the price positively, rather than the lying scumbag Moez Kassams and Philip Vallier and Jeff Easton's and the rest. The real market happens. And so I'm telling you, I think Railtown will be a $3 stock shortly. Will it be as quick as Finger? Will it be as dramatic as Finger? No. Will it be as quick and as exciting as GBUX if GBUX runs? No. But let me put it in making money terms. Let me just put it in making money terms. You're risking, by owning GBUX, you're risking from $3 that it goes under $1. So you're risking over $2 of your money. You're risking 2/3 of your money, maybe more, in the hope that the deal finally gets done and a short squeeze happens. So there's that outlier. But the more realistically, you make 3x on your money, maybe 4x. So you're willing to lose 60 to 75% of your money in return for the potential of making 3 to 4 times your money. That's GBUX right now. Now, I'm talking about the meat of the trade. There's all the outliers. The outliers is it goes to 0 or it goes to 150. Those are less likely. I mean, man, I'm sure you go to the casino, it's risk reward. All right, so what is Railtown? 30 cents. What are you risking? I mean, anything's possible. You have to admit that. But I think you're risking 20% of your money, 5 cents, in the short run, not forever. You're risking, maybe it pulls back to 26 cents, 27 cents, 25 cents. You buy it at 30 cents, you risk 5 cents. You risk 0.2 of 1x, whatever that is. You risk 20% of your money in the short run. What's the upside? Well, I think the upside is more than this. I think you know, it could be $5. Well, let's stick with $3. 350. But let's stick with three bucks. My target's actually 350, but let's stick with $3. That's 10x. That's 10x. So you're risking your money, you're risking 20% of your money in the short run, not forever. In my opinion, low risk. And you have a chance to 10x on your money in Railtown. Yeah, but fingers happening now. I can't wait. I can't wait. Well, Railtown might not be that long. It might be next week. It might be next month. But once Railtown happens, that's the new price. That I'm talking about the price it's reset. And then the good things happen from that price. So I don't know. I'm not lecturing you. My personality, I get worked up. But if you're uncomfortable with GBUX, which it sounds like you are, just remember you don't have to make money in GBUX. If I were playing your hand, and that's what it is, you got a hand. You got a hand. You got a hand. I'll take 3 cards. Or 2 cards, sorry. I'll take 2 cards. Okay. You know, and you go on. What's your call? That's all you're doing. You're playing your hand. We got into GBUX for all the reasons. I don't think you're in NIXX or Railtown. I've talked about other stocks like NEXT. I've talked about, I can't think of others, but I've talked about others. But here we are Monday morning. What would I do if I were in your shoes? Because you're clearly not pleased with GBUX. You feel like you're going to miss out. All right, Ham might be early. Hello? I am live.
I just have a doctor's appointment. Can you give me half an hour and I'll come back?
What are you having done at the doctor's appointment? Is he going to probe you? Oh, that's right. That's right. Antibiotics, maybe. Yeah, I told everybody 2 o'clock. You're not late. All right. So, Ramon, I'll quickly finish up. If I were you, you're clearly less than thrilled to be in GBUX at this point. I think I can't give you specific advice, but I think I'd sell GBUX if I could buy NIXX Monday morning for less than $2. And I would try to see if NIXX doubles or triples next week, which might be a dream. It might be the following week. But I'd reassess NIXX by the end of the week. And if by the end of the week, I still think it's going to go, I'm talking about you still think NIXX might go up the following week, you hang on. But the goal, my goal would be that NIXX provides you with a spurt of profit. And the hard thing's going to be, does NIXX go to 4, 5, 6? I mean, if it goes at all. And then once it's there, there'll be fever, NIXX fever, and everyone will be talking about how it's going to go to 20. And that's the hard decision. Do you ride the wave or do you fight the crowd? my opinion with NIXX is if it goes back to 50 million shares in a day, in an hour, I would just take whatever it gives me. I'll go buy Railtown. Go buy Railtown. And some point, Railtown's not going to be cheap. But it's cheap right now, in my opinion. At some point, Railtown will move, and then you'll be interested in it. But I'm telling you, the least risk play that I'm talking about is Railtown. The highest upside that I'm talking about, without a squeeze, is Railtown. If you throw squeezes in, I think GBUX has the highest potential for a squeeze in the next 2 weeks. If you want to believe in a squeeze of finger motion, I think finger motion could have a big squeeze if ever all the things are true. But I don't think that's happening for at least 5 or 6 weeks, and probably much longer than that. All right, I'm going to move on from GBUX. Yeah, you're welcome, Ramon. If I got powerful, there's nothing against you. I like the question, and it gave me a chance to try to give people my thinking. But you know, I don't know. It's kind of like playing poker. I'm not a poker player, but I love watching the poker players. You know, you get your cards. And you know, you think, wow, I've got 2 cards down. I've got the, I don't know, the King of Hearts, and I get the King of Hearts, and I get the Jack of Hearts, and I bet it. It's not the best hand, but I think, well, might be better than somebody else's. And then the flop comes, you know, something like that. And I've got this. All of a sudden, my strength of my hand doesn't look quite as good. So I got to change how I'm playing. I might still have the best hand, but somebody could beat me with an ace. Somebody might have a flush draw. But it's going to be hard for me to get my flush. So, and the king now doesn't really help me if someone has an ace. So, you know, the odds change every day. The risk reward changes every day. I really think everybody on this call should be establishing at least a small position in Railtown. I mean, let me put it in numbers. If you have $3 grand, you can buy 10,000 shares of Railtown. If I'm right, it's going to be worth $30,000, $35,000. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? All right, let me go to the top. We can go to the top and you come down to the bottom and I'll see you again. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm going down fast and I can't remember the words. I'm coming down fast and I see you again. I've got blisters on my fingers. Hey, Square. No, Ham's here. He'll be on at 2 o'clock, roughly. These clickers aren't working. What's my favorite coffee to drink? I don't prefer Starbucks, and I drink my coffee without sugar and without cream. I always want to hear what you think, minus the rats. The rants, right? The rants, the rants. Did I know that Tony De Niro is a failed actor? Well, his mustache works for him. His mustache works for him. It's going to get him some jobs. I used to have a memory. Now I don't recall. GBUX will benefit from finger. That's true. Am I crazy? But this is going parabolic. No, you're not crazy. You're not crazy. But it's, you know, when I talk about finger, there's a fundamental side and there's a trading side. Vince, everybody's talking about finger. A squeeze, a parabolic move is just basically more buyers than sellers. And when I tell you that the sellers just turn on their machines, that's true up until their credit runs out. And when their credit runs out, the pit boss might say, no mas. And then they got to start coming in with collateral. And then they say to the pit boss, I can't afford to pay the last advance. And so then the selling stops, at least from them, and the buy-ins start. They take the guy down to the basement and put the hammers to his knuckles and kick him out on the street. So yeah, you're not crazy. You're not crazy. But my own view on finger, and I want to tell everybody something before Ham comes on. My own, now that we're talking about finger, my own view on finger is I haven't heard anything, and why would I, that leads me to believe that there's going to be a surprise prior to the annual report, which is probably April 1. So that's why I think there's going to be a delay. I also think Finger is going to raise money. Oh, you sound like a short. Well, I don't mean to, but they have a very valuable contract, which they have to finance. And it doesn't seem like the government is going to extend credit. Doesn't seem like a factoring company is extending credit. They're going to have to raise money. So these are my concerns that it's not going to, quote unquote, squeeze yet. But let me give you the reasons fundamentally that could cause the stock price to jump. They could do a joint venture with the SAIC. Huge. They could find an investor or a group of investors that give money on really favorable terms. Huge. They could have a series of investors coming in now. That's something I want to talk to you about. From offshore that know the players. That would be huge. And on the short side, if Fidelity's really in trouble, that could be huge. So I don't think you're crazy. I don't think you're crazy. Let me just, I really want to quickly say this, and I'll try to say it again before Ham comes on, and maybe clarify it while Ham is on, and say it before I sign off. If any of you are planning on purchasing shares of Finger Motion pre-market at 9:15, please do not do so. I want to make it clear, I do not stand for any appearance of collusion or any in fact collusion, even for 100 shares each, because it is illegal. It is not allowed. You and I are not allowed to agree to meet at 9:15, and even if it's two of us, to buy shares at the same time to see if we can make the price go up. This is illegal, and I want to be clear that I do not stand for it. I'm against it. And I want you, each of you, to realize that if you do it, and more than one of you does it, and the stock goes up, you will be, in my opinion, you will be investigated. I don't know if a first-time offender would go to jail, but that's a possibility. The SEC, the Department of Justice, will go after collusion and price manipulation by retail, by us. And I'm sorry, it is high risk. There's no reason to risk your profits Monday morning on your position of finger by buying 100 shares along with all the other people out there. I want to stand as clearly as I can against this. If you want to do it, just know that I'm telling you not to. And if you do it, and the stock somehow runs like Vince is saying, it goes parabolic, you could risk not just the 100 shares, your entire profit. You could also risk going to jail. It is against the law to collude, to cause the price, to manipulate prices of stocks. It is against the law. Please don't do it. All right, that's enough of that. All right, 140. I want to show you. I'm going to skip. Yeah, Ham will be on it too. Ham will be on it too. I want to quickly show you something, you guys, because after Ham comes on, he ends, I'm going to go out and make sure I go get my haircut. But I want to educate you guys on something. Because when you make a profit, the single thing you can do to make your life better is to buy silver. Silver is a set it and forget it investment. Silver is the easiest investment you'll ever make. And while everyone else is worrying about trading, you can go to the golf course, you can go to the gym, you can go to the salon, you can read a book, you can knit a sweater, you can grow a tomato field, you can learn how to fence, you can buy a puppy and watch it grow. Silver's the best investment out there. Now let me show you something. Oh, I got to take that comment down. This comes from David Morgan. I now subscribe to his newsletter. This comes from his May newsletter. I'm not going to put any, I'm just going to show this without putting anything else up because, you know, he charges for it and his information is proprietary. That's David Morgan, the Morgan report. Let me tell you what this says. You can see the title. Silver has been in short. Let me read it again. Silver has been short a full year of mine production over the last 5 years. So let's go over it. On the left-hand multicolored bar, you see in the green, you see 2021. In the orange, you see 2022. In the gray, you see 2023. In the yellow, you see 2024. And in the blue, you see 2025. Now, I don't know why he's doing it twice, but let's take it as he's describing it. In the first column, 2021, there was a deficit of production of silver versus demand for silver of 187 million ounces. In 2022, there was a deficit of 200, if I'm reading it correctly, 10 million ounces. In 2023, there was a deficit of 163 million ounces. In 2024, there was a deficit of 132 million ounces. In 2025, estimated, there'll be a deficit of 144 million ounces of silver between demand and supply. I think in the second column, he's blending the numbers for a cumulative supply deficit. And I'm going to skip over that because it's not significantly different. I just think he's trying to be honest. He's doing a running total rather than a yearly event. But let's go over to the far right, mine production. Annual production of silver is 800 million ounces a year. 800 million ounces a year. Now, we heard, I read to you from two different sources yesterday that we're probably at peak silver, at least at these price regimes. And I read this morning that there's a significant portion of that mine production which could disappear over the next 2 years. And we're running these deficits. Anyway, at some point, that can't continue. At some point, the rubber will hit the road. Kenny doesn't need collateral or money to sell fake shares. This is true, I believe, because of his stature, but it's also true during the day. The Amex guy that I always refer to, I think an honest guy, he has no problem with the daily breaking of the law. He acknowledges it happens. But during the day, as long as if they sell stock that doesn't exist, so they can drive the stock down $1 on an $8 stock, just selling stock they have no idea where it's coming from. And then close it at let's say they sold it down from $10 to $8, and they made an average of $1 blended volume. They close it all at 8, 8.10. They can walk away with that $1.50 profit. They never had to have real shares, ever. They didn't have to locate those shares. They didn't even have to have a clue where they were going to get them. And according to my Amex guy, nothing wrong with that. Why? They're good clients. They're good customers. They always make good on the trade. They always make good on the trade. So the system allows them, because they make good on the trade. At the end of the day, they cross it off. There's nothing on the margin clerk or the compliance desk or the Amex exchange saying risk, 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 risk. It's closed. And when I point out, well, that's illegal still, they let it happen. They're good clients. That's Wall Street. That's Wall Street. I do think that there is cost involved, and I think Ken is front running, all the trades and pay for order flow and all that. I think at the end of the day, the guy is making more money each day than anyone in history. But I don't agree with you that he doesn't need collateral. It's just that he can get away with it. And he has implied collateral. But make no mistake about it. The rules that Bill Clinton put in place allow Wall Street to and Ken Griffin is, his stock loan is as big as Blankenfein and Fink and Black and anybody else. Cohen. They are allowed. Let me just see. Gosh, I can't stand it. DTCC assets. Let's see what Gronk says. How much money does the DTC have? Well, right now they're saying, oh, that's 2018. Thanks. That doesn't help. All right, Depository Trust Corporation. As of what time? DTC brings efficiency to the market. And boy, how? By retaining custody of more than 1.4 million active securities valued at 87.1 trillion. 87.1 trillion. All of those securities, because of Bill Clinton's signature, $87 trillion go into a pool. And you're right, Ken Griffin can get his, maybe he can use the whole thing because everything's double and triple and quadruple and more hypothecated. But he can do his derivatives, he can do his trading, and that collateral covers his bet first, but before a crisis in the market where you want yours. That's how it's set up. That's Bill Clinton. It's Bill Clinton. Man, the best president we ever had. Is there a law requiring brokers to purchase more shares from market maker? Is that a reason Fidelity could use or purchase from DTCC? I've been thinking about that for 3 weeks. I don't see why Fidelity has to buy back all the shares. As long as each bank trusts each other, we're not taking any finger motion out of the system. So it's all electronic. I don't see where there's the run on the bank. A gentleman pointed out to me, and I agree with him, it could just as easily be that Fidelity doesn't want to buy your shares until they make you come in person to person, maybe sign something, or maybe there's a camera, a tape, so that in the future, if there's a lawsuit, They have it on record that you wanted to buy that it was unsolicited. They in no way supported the purchase of that stock. It's not all evil. They've been trained. This is how they've been trained. Nobody's been trained to go after the criminals. Everybody thinks, let me pick on it again. Everyone figures Netanyahu is honest. Those people want to kill him. He's just doing the right thing. He represents democracy in the Middle East. So no one realizes or expects him, as was in the news yesterday, to bomb the Syrian palace. They didn't, but they almost did. So they can incrementally add some more Lebensraum. But that's not our boy Netanyahu. He's one of us. That's how Wall Street thinks that the trading, the big clients, it's all being run as a clean shop. At the end of the day, the numbers add up. They don't recognize it. They're trained. They're trained to the risk they see is that if they allow you to buy an over-the-counter stock, it's probably going to go to zero, and they're going to get sued. You're going to say, I'm an elderly guy, and a crackpot on YouTube told me that it was going to 2,000, and I didn't listen to Tony Dinero, no money, Tony. I didn't listen to him, and you should have warned me that this wasn't suitable for me because I'm obviously walking in on a crutches and a wheelchair, and I've got to take care of 3 grandchildren, and my house is just had a fire, and my health isn't any good, and I haven't worked in 5 years. Trying to protect from. I'm sorry to say it could be that. Very funny, Frank. Don't get a haircut, get them all cut. Very funny, very funny. That's just hilarious. Hilarious. Yeah, Dave R. Ham will be on shortly. He's at a doctor's appointment because he's got strep throat. Trying to think what else I should say. Hey, Donna. Hey, technology, well, spastic, I can pronounce that word. Most of the 1% or 1% of the 1% were raised to hate us, and they can rip us off if they leave. Yeah. Look, I think, Vin, I agree with you. I mean, I think it's from an early age. Look, I've had lots of clients. We all are trained from early ages. And a couple of things. Don't lose money. Always negotiate, argue, have alligator arms. Don't tip. And stay in the community. Stay in the community. I mean, it all makes sense for what happened, but the rest of us aren't prepared for it. We're just not prepared for it. And I'll make my point by telling a joke and leave it there. I don't want to make my point clearer. But I was in London when a friend of mine said, I couldn't stop laughing. he said he's an Arab guy, doesn't believe in God, but he's a very highly intelligent, and he'll let you know that. He said one wag said, "How odd of God to choose the Jews." And the other wag said, "Not odd of God. Goyim annoy him." We're the great unwashed. And I think, you know, without getting into religion or any of that, you can go on the Twitter Spaces. I stopped going because I get all worked up. I mean, on the pages, and they'll say, "Boy, we had some fun with retail today. Oh, that was fun." Because we are the Goyim. They feel no responsibility. None. None. And, you know, in fairness, I'd rather deal with that than someone who's stupid or doesn't know what they're talking about or is unreliable. At least once you define it, everybody gets upset if I try to define it. "Oh, you sound like Hitler." No, I'm not trying to sound like Hitler. I'm just trying to see where the risks are. You know, if you're a CEO, I think I said this the other day, and you do a deal with Lipskowitz, and the lawyer comes on unrelated. You don't know the lawyer, and it's Tomovitz. And then the next investor comes on from Switzerland, and it's a Lianostein. And then the company that's going to merge in reverse is run by a guy named Harmliskovitz. I mean, you got to start wondering, wait a minute, am I being set up here? Does my Ford say Goyim? You just, I mean, you can choose to say, "Oh, I'm woke and I'm not going to think that way." Well, I mean, it's your money. But I think if you're a CEO, you have a responsibility to see the patterns and at least ask, "Are you guys working in concert?" They'll probably say no, but put it on record. Get it in writing. You're not working in concert? Vin, I think the only way we're ever going to get the other side is, one, they don't disclose anything. And I think full disclosure is a bugaboo. It's a real deal at the SEC. They never disclose anything. I think you can get them on disclosure. Number two, they collude, they manipulate, they defraud. Those, I think you can get them there. I think you can get them there. There's all this arm length stuff. That's why they're so cocky, and that's what the lawyers. "Oh, I find what you say about lawyers and attorneys is ridiculous. I've been an attorney for 51 years, and I find what you say is ridiculous." All right. What I'm saying is ridiculous. But the lawyers are there to give them this cockiness. But you know what? In this modern age, I wouldn't be surprised if every wire, every digital dollar can be traced. Every payoff, every kickback, every under the table guarantee. I think that's where we get them. I don't think we get them on, unfortunately, I don't think we get them on failure to deliver. I mean, yes, they're breaking that law, but it hasn't worked so far. So anyway, it's not hopeless. It's not hopeless. Can you give us the history on how you found RLAIF? Yeah. Somebody came to me and said, could you pump this stock? Because we want to dump it. And when they came to me, it was 40 cents. And they said, I'll give you a kickback if you pump it because we want to dump it. So talk to all your people. And if they're skeptical, just keep pumping it to them. So, because we want to dump it. Is that why you're asking me? What what does it matter where I got the idea from? My answer is to you, no, I will not tell you how I got the idea. I will not tell you. I will not tell you. I don't think it matters where I got the idea. It was nine months ago, 10 months ago, maybe longer. So it has no relevance now in terms of timing. I've been talking about Railtown now for 6-7 months. I've done my own due diligence. I talked to a lot of people to check my thinking. I've pulled down their, but I'm not a detailed guy. If you need to go to a detailed guy, go to Tony. He'll tell you. But I've pulled down their filings. I've read their news. I've gone through their websites. So I've done my due diligence. You do yours. Hello?
Yes, William.
How's your
I have a low-grade fever. I don't have strep throat, but I have to get an antibiotic, and I'm waiting for that to happen. And I'm going to have to move back my trip a day or two, she said, because if it does go into something else, I'll be in trouble overseas.
did she hold you down there and say cough?
We always make that happen. She's checking my throat and doing that at the same time.
And she said, hey, you got an innie. Oh. All right. Well, you're.
So let me start out by I've had many contacts this weekend with people. No one can believe that FINRA, the NASDAQ, all these exchanges did nothing about it. So we decided let's embarrass FINRA and NASDAQ for not doing anything. The New York Stock Exchange, there was a whole bunch of them. All these people that, I looked at the FINRA site, William.
Yeah.
There's so many people working there. They must be making a fortune, all these people.
FINRA?
I mean, I just looked at, all these people.
The reason I'm pausing, FINRA's office is the old NASDAQ office. Yeah, it's a big space. I took my Plato test there. We used to go there for training. Yeah, it's a big office. You're right.
I just think that there's so many people making a big living out of this place that I can't believe no one's come forward and said anything.
Yeah.
It's just remarkable. The president put out, DJT, they wanted NASDAQ to investigate the manipulation of their stock. I mean, how long does it take to do this? It takes about 5 minutes to figure it out.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. But anyway, let's go past that. I've been pitching people all morning. I have a nice group of buyers coming in again. Again, people, listen. I'm telling the story of the biggest crime in history. I, William, and many others have been reporting it to the police. It's not like we're not hiding this. No one's come to help us, so we have to do it ourselves. And I just find it amazing that, then no one does anything. Zero. And they're just robbing their own family, their friends. You know, everyone who has a pension money gets robbed. Every time you see a police officer or a fireman, they're stealing their money. Those poor fools that have no idea. They risk their life and they get robbed of all their money. How do you do that? How would you like to be a soldier? Stealing your pension money. You know, it's just amazing that they allowed this to happen. And everybody wants protection from the police or whoever. God forbid your house is on fire. They don't care about anything. It's just remarkable. So that's been the little fight. Getting buyers for the stock is pretty easy to do. You know, every time I speak to somebody, it's pretty easy. What I would tell people is that my conversations, and again, this is my opinion, when you do buy this stock, use levels. For example, my friends, we're all using a $3.50 top to buy the stock. What that means is we won't pay more than $3.50. We may buy it at $2.50. We don't know. But if they move out of the way and move back, the most we're going to pay is $3.50 on Monday. It may change. You'll sit there and say, well, if it's going to $3,000, why don't you just buy it at the market? Well, I always tell the story about my friend Rhonda from Kentucky. She put a market order once on a stock that was a short squeeze candidate. She wanted to buy 10,000 at the market, and the stock was 10, and she got her execution. She paid 20. She caught it just as it squeezed, bought it at the market at the high, and before you know it, the stock was back down to 10. She lost $100,000 because she got caught in the short squeeze. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. Be careful. Use a level. Use numbers. Use a top. This way, you can always change it. You can always buy it cheaper, but you're never going to get caught up in a run like that. That is a true story. And I executed the order for her. She was on the trading desk, so I know it happened. Oh, my ears are itchy. So that's what my friends are doing. And they probably got 300,000-400,000 shares to buy. At the rate they're printing the shares, we may be able to buy that up a nickel. I don't know. But accumulation will always lead to higher prices. The CEO told everybody at the conference that dividend is coming. So we got the May 28th when the earnings come out. That's when we should get the dividend news. Remember, the dividend is musical chairs. The record date, once it stops, everyone who owns the stock is entitled to the dividend. If there's no stock for you, your brokerage firm owes it to you. Your brokerage firm has to go get it from the short seller. And that leads us to Fidelity. Fidelity is on the hook for all the naked shorts. And what they will have to do is they will have to go out and buy the stock, take the loss, and then go look for the criminal and to submit a bill to him and say, hey, you owe us $5 million or $10 million or $1 billion. Doesn't make a difference. I think what they're trying to do is head that off so they don't get caught and have to go do that, because it's a pretty heavy-duty loss they're going to have to lay out the money for. And Finger Motion is just not the only stock that's having this problem. So imagine having it 50 or 500 or 1,000 times other places. So the brokerage firms, by protecting the crooks, are basically like Credit Suisse, could destroy the whole company. Credit Suisse is no longer in business. All right, so we all understand what's going on there. On Friday, I was playing pickleball. A shareholder called me up. His friend has, he's a big player. He had 500,000 shares. And he went to Fidelity, and Fidelity told him they're going to make some sort of statement this week about what's going on. And the guy was told that you'll be quite happy about what's going to happen. That's what I called you, William. I told my friends we bought stock at $270 on the close. We were buying it, and they were selling it to us. They wouldn't let it go up, but it's okay. So we'll see what happens.
That's pretty interesting. That's pretty interesting.
It came in I was on the pickleball court when I called you up. I called you up and told you that. Yeah, the guy rang my phone. I just picked it up and I was like, what? And he started telling me. I said, all right, let me make a call. So with all this stuff going on, one of the shareholders that I know that has 4 million shares told me he called the company up and wants to give him more money. Now,
Wow.
the company won't take the money from him, but he was willing to put up more money, and he's been here for 3 years already. He's not sold a share.
Wow.
So he called him up and told me that what's going on with the company. He spoke with the CEO, and I guess what the CEO told him is outstanding, and he offered them money, and they said they didn't want it.
Wow. That's good. That's good information.
That's straight from the horse's mouth. That's from the individual that owns it. Okay, so I spoke with him, and that's what happened there. Now remember, the company raised some money with Roth Capital, and they gave these guys who put up the money, they gave them warrants.
Right.
And they're exercisable at $1.50. If they exercise those warrants, the company will get $7.5 million in cash in the bank. And that's all in play already. Now, I don't know if anyone has done it yet. I don't know anything about that. But if they wanted to, they could. That means if they did do it, they sold it already, and the company gets the money, which is just like GameStop. It gets powerful. More money gets great, right? This time the stock's going up on the money raise, right? The warrants, everything. Once that's over with, the only warrants left will be the warrants to the shareholders. Remember, 10% of 60 million shares, which is the total company, will be 6 million shares, right?
Right.
Let's say they give it to us at $3, the exercise price, right? 6 million times 3 is what, William?
Let me get back to you on that.
It's 18 million more. So imagine all of us exercising our warrants. You know, William's got 2,000 shares. He's got 200 shares. I got 10,000 shares. I'll get 1,000 shares. The company will get this money, the exercise money. It's slow and steady all the time. So it's not like everyone gets it tomorrow and sells it the next day. It'll take a while for the whole thing to work its way through. But if the stock's at 20, why wouldn't you want your stock at, let's say, 3? You get it from the company for free. You pay him the 3, you sell it at 20, you make $17 for nothing. But that's just another way for the company to raise money.
Yeah.
You know? So it's just a couple of things happening there. So that's good. So the company does not need to raise money. Now, if they had an emergency this or emergency that, or they needed money to, to make their business go faster or something, then yes, you could see that happen. But I don't believe it's going to happen. I think things are in place. Again, the warrant, if you owned 1 million warrants at $1.50, you sell it at $3, you just made yourself a nice buck, right?
Yeah.
$1.50.
Yeah.
So, these guys are a creature of habit, meaning that they will probably exercise. I don't know why they're not going to do it. Maybe they know what's going on and just going to sit back and let it go.
Right.
Which makes sense. But either way, the higher it goes, the more likely the company's going to get to $7.5 million in cash. So that's another positive thing. All right, so I don't see any negative stuff here at all. The negative stuff is that our government sucks, and the regulators of the stock market are a disgrace. And everyone has been protecting these hedge funds, whether it's, a Democrat or a Republican, who the hell knows, but this has to come to an end. And, people, if you can, retweet the NASDAQ stuff. Let's stick a thorn in their foot for a little while. Let them feel miserable seeing their name everywhere. It doesn't hurt. All right, just retweet it. On Monday, there's a group of investors. Not me. I only have $2.25 in my account unless I sell something, which I won't. but they're going to. There's like 5 or 6 guys that are going to buy 20,000 a piece at $9.15 in pre-market, and there's 100, 200 investors that are going to buy 100 shares a piece in the pre-market at $9.15.
I want to stop you right there since it's my channel and I want to protect you. Ham is reporting that as information that he's heard. He is not, and I am not, encouraging you to buy shares at $9.15. If we collude, if we operate together, we and you, everybody doing it, can go to jail. So I just want to say that
I'm just telling you that at $9.15, if you see it going crazy, you know why. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly. Okay.
That's what you know. So you don't sit there and say, "Oh my God, what's going on?" I just told you, shareholders are buying it. Listen, I got what William's saying, but we're fighting criminals here.
Yeah.
We're fighting criminals. You can say what you want. I got it. We all understand. We can't collude. That's the way. We got it. But we're fighting criminals. These people need to be beaten with a baseball bat. They're robbing from my family, my children. I'm pissed off.
I know.
And to sit here and play nice. You know what? I wish I had the power to orchestrate something like that, and I do not.
I know.
But again, it's why people have had enough. People have a lot of money at stake. And you know what? To be sitting here and being robbed over stock settlement, it's a disgrace.
I know.
And I got it. But you know what? The SEC is a disgrace. We put the truck there 16 times in the lobby of the building, whistleblowing. And what have they done, William? You tell me.
Well, they've helped out the Kramers. They gave them a slap on the wrist.
Right. They've done nothing. Zero for us. Zero. They've done zero.
Yeah.
They get paid a salary. I don't get paid a salary. William doesn't get paid a salary. We're all starving, waiting for this year in, year out. And to be nice with them is a disgrace. And besides that, the president is telling you, the NASDAQ, hey, investigate this. There's fraud. We can say it too.
Yeah.
Any questions for anybody?
Yeah, let me look what the questions are. Free pilot. Go listen to, if you really care, go listen to Not Legal Advice. He'll give you guidance on what's happening there. Slick Willie was a busy man. Yes, Gary Gensler. Yeah. No, I don't know what I misunderstood that. Will the dividend be tradable? Probably.
Yes, they said it would be.
Big JR's here, Ronnie, with COSM. The company tried to force through a reverse split and CUSIP changed, and they weren't ready. The math was incorrect. It's all bullshit, of course. Yeah, okay, that's a long time ago. You're ultimately your own decision maker. That makes sense. I'm looking for questions. There aren't very many questions.
Like I said, I have a meeting tonight, and hopefully I can clear up and get the hell out of here. I have an open ticket, so as soon as I'm ready to go, I can get out of here. I'm afraid to go to a foreign country.
Well, is she going to give you antibiotics?
Yeah, they're calling into the drugstore. I got to wait about an hour or so.
So maybe you'll wake up feeling fine.
She gave me some Flonase. Tells me to go.
I mean, it'll be great for the person sitting next to you. They won't have to listen to a finger motion pitch for 12 hours.
I've done that.
I'm sure you have. I'm sure you have. if finger goes to $3 or more on Monday, would you sell the May $2 strikes, or would you hold out for more?
Oh, they're 85 cents. You should have been moving out of them on Friday. That's gonna close. But I'm out there at $1. That'll be, you sell them at $1. There's gonna be the $6 strikes coming out. I told you I'm a firm believer. And if you made, what did that gentleman pay for them? Wherever it is, I don't know.
I don't know what he paid. He doesn't say.
I'm talking, so let's say you pay 10 cents. You're making 75 cents. If you can buy the $5 calls at 20 cents, if you bought one, it's 20 cents. If you bought two, it's 60 cents. If you bought three, you're spending 60 cents. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can put 15 cents in your pocket as profit.
Mm-hmm.
If you pay 10. You got to think like that and just move up. So if you bought one, now you can wind up with 3 or 4 calls. If you bought 10, now you have 40. If you got 100, you get 400 calls. And that's how you really make a lot of money in options, when you move from one strike to the next. And each time you go up, you put a few dollars in your pocket, and you buy a more than you had before. So if you had 20, now you buy 60. 60 is equivalent to 6,000 shares. 20 is 2,000 shares. If it goes to 100, you take 100 minus $5 is 95 times $6. Buy 6,000 shares.
I think if you own the May calls and you have a profit, you should be thinking, I'm going to take my profit off the table. And what Ham is suggesting, if you have the twos and you have a profit, sell them. And if you want to still be in the play, buy the threes or buy the fours or buy the fives.
Right.
Or even better, if you want to overpay, just go out to the next month. But that's probably overpaying. But take your original money at least, if not a profit, off the table. There's nothing more ephemeral than a bid on a 2-week option. It will disappear on you faster than some of my friends when the bill comes and
Well, William, you know what? I agree with you. Options disappear. But when a stock's in play and finger motion is in play,
yeah,
the best way to do it is sell the twos, buy the fours, forget about it.
Well, I'm not against that. I'm if you sold the twos and bought the fives or the fours,
right,
you just put in your mind that money could disappear. But I've already taken my money off the table. I've already taken my money plus a little bit off the table. So if those $5 calls go to nothing, I took a shot. That's all I'm saying. I agree with you. That's where you can get your most leverage.
That's what you try to do.
Yes, I agree with that.
You buy all calls for free. That's the key.
But I guess my point also is you made a good trade buying those May twos. That's a brilliant trade. You've got a great return. I think we're all spoiled. That kind of return doesn't always happen. Book it. Book the return, and you can.
Well, you got to remember, you bought a great price. You got the move. You sell those. You put money in your pocket, and you buy cheaper ones, and you forget about it. That's the way you're still involved.
I hear you. I agree.
If you want to trade options just to make money and go away, there's nothing you can say. Just go away.
Let me see if there's any question. Ramon says, your pitch is you're going to lock the doors on the airplane and keep them locked until they buy.
Here's your buy tickets. Pass out. Sign up.
Use aren't leaving until you buy.
I'll be standing with the credit card machine. What do you got?
Ronnie, you're thinking of JR Ewing. Everyone confuses us. Richard will have to give the GTII update video today. All right, there's a GTII update at 4 p.m. But, it might be more interesting at 6 to watch the Kentucky Derby. I'm going to miss it, though. I don't know what this means. You guys should be locking it up at the very bottom and loaded to go. I don't know what that is. It's not financial advice. On the other hand, it is advice. On the other hand, it's not advice.
Bet the 3-horse today.
I think you should bet journalism overall. That's what I think. $1 ticket, you'd be rich. $2 ticket, you'd be rich. Just joined. Any ideas? Thinking to buy 500 calls of the $3 on Finger. So I'll let you answer that.
The $5, 500 of the 3 calls. We bought thousands of them, the 3s, the 4s. We've been moving up. We sold the 2s, some of the 2s. We moved up to the 3s, the 4s. We just keep buying the ones when they're 20 cents, 10 cents, we buy them. Now they're going to have the 6s. So for the gentleman that's asking this question, you're looking at something that if it's going to work, it's going to the moon. That's why we're buying options at 10, 20 cents. I put it up there before, the Brownfield Fund from The Big Short. Those kids bought cheap, out of the money calls or puts on an event that no one believed would happen. And when they lost small. When they won big. They turned $180,000 into $70 million doing that. And that's how I played. And finger motion options, I can't tell you what to do with the options because the market is closed and I can't tell you the prices. All right, so that's the most important thing with options. I would have to look at it. But you have an opportunity here. And the reason this is the greatest opportunity is because the options are so cheap. You couldn't do this with Tesla. You can't do it with Game. The options are too expensive all over the place. These options are basically, the $2 were a nickel and a dime. They're 85 cents. That's a big return if you look at options. The 3s were a nickel also. What did they close at? 40, 50 cents? Another big return. So the options that we highlighted to everybody before, to tell you to go out and buy 500 at 20 cents, at 25 cents, the 4s may be better than the 5s. The 5s may be better than the 6s. I have to wait till Monday to tell you. I got to see how they move before I can determine what price to buy. I'm sorry, William. Oh, excuse me. What else you got?
4 p.m.
Listen,
notice.
that gentleman who wants to buy 500 calls, here's my word of advice. Buy 10 of the 3s, 25 of the 4s, and 25 of the 5s, and 25 of the 6s. If the 3s go up, you sell them, say you pay, let's say you pay 50 cents for them. They go to $1.50, you sell them. You make $1, take that $1 off the cost of everything else you bought. That's all. When the 4s go up, you sell the 4s, and then you live in the 5s. You just keep adding to the 5s with the profit you make.
Right.
That's the way I would do it.
This gentleman made a lot of money on his $2 calls. He's now still holding 3, 4s, and 5s. Good for you. I'll ask you, but I don't think you traded AMC. This guy wants you to compare it to AMC. I don't think it matters.
Excuse me. I never followed AMC. I never did.
Yeah.
I followed GameStop. I didn't even know why AMC went up. I had no idea.
Wow. Gerald bought 72 of the August $5 calls for 5 cents. I plan on moving up to the $8 call when they're released. Why? You might, listen to him. Ham might have a better idea for you.
Sell those. I don't know what they closed at. Maybe someone can tell us. You pay 5 cents, sell those, and then you buy the May 6s or 5s for 20 cents. That's what you should be doing. Go forward, not backwards.
Because Gerald, if you do what Ham's saying, you book your profit there, you're paying less time premium. Admittedly, they could go to zero. But if you look it up, what you're paying for time premium for 2 weeks, by the time they expire, if they expire worthless in 2 Fridays, that next Monday, the Junes and the Julys and the Augusts are going to be cheaper by that amount. So, or more.
If it's going to go, it's going within the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
What?
No, that's the bet.
I believe that between the president, okay, and the company doing what they're doing, the pressure is building. The shorts are in trouble here. It just feels like it's all busting at the same time.
Ham said Fidelity is coming out with a statement next week. Then he said someone talked to the company about giving money to Finger. That part was a little confusing. It's not that confusing, but I guess you can go back over those things.
A big money manager who is invested in the company around $4. I think he owns it. He spoke with the company, and whatever the company's got going on, they told him. And he said, hey, I'd like to put more money in. And the company said, we're not accepting any money. And that's from a loyal shareholder.
I actually think that's pretty key information. Big information.
He tried to buy more. And he's been here 4 years.
Sorry, I'm just finding my shoes because I gotta, after you're done, whenever you're done, I gotta go visit. I got a haircut and visit my sister. I think the big deal is the company doesn't want the money. Maybe, to me, that means maybe they already have another deal, or maybe they have all the financing they need.
I'll look at it this way. The company would never turn down a big investor to give it to somebody else. Doesn't make any sense. Someone that's loyal to you, whose name is on the sheets as a holder, why would they want to get rid of that guy, right?
Yeah.
You have
Makes
a great
sense.
investor that's staying with you. You want to, if they want to put up more money, a lot of times they say okay, but this time they said no.
Let me see if there's any more questions. So when do you get your medicine?
I don't know. Now I'm sitting in the car waiting.
So Gerald bought 72 August calls for 5 cents. That might be the same thing I already said. Let's see, gamma pressure.
Put them out there at $1.05. Put it in right now at $1.05.
Wow, that'd be a nice trade.
You make yourself $7,000 on $350. That's pretty good, right?
That's fantastic.
I'm like Roaring Kitty now. Anyway, where is that Roaring Kitty? You haven't seen him.
I don't know. Roaring Kitty didn't seem to be able to speak. Gamma pressure is what Lion is saying. I don't know about that because I don't know what
say that again? It's what?
He's saying gamma pressure. I don't totally understand a gamma squeeze, I have to admit.
It's easy, William. Here. There's 6,000 calls at the twos. As the stock goes through two, the market maker, the guy who sold us the 6,000 calls,
right,
he's now losing money.
Right.
Now he's in the same position as the naked short. He has infinite liability going up, right?
Okay.
Because he's now short. The way to hedge it is he can go out and buy the stock or try to buy back those options. If people do not sell him the options, he has to buy the stock.
All right.
So if he comes in for 600,000 shares, he's going to drive it from 2 to 3, correct?
Okay.
Once it gets over 3, there's another 6,000 calls. The same situation has happened again. That 600,000 shares will have to be bought, and that'll drive the stock to 4. When it gets to 4, there's 14,000 open interest. That's 1,400,000 more shares that has to be bought. That's your gamma squeeze. Boom, boom, boom. It just keeps turning. It turns the market maker into a buyer, the option market maker.
And what does gamma mean then? I have to look that up.
Is it gamma ray? Is it from the Godzilla movies? Or
No,
is it
it's just the alpha, beta, delta, all the shit they use
it's
to make
just
them
showing you what happens.
sound
I just explained it to you. That's how it
All
works.
right, I got you. Lion says, but compared to AMC, finger is actually moving somewhere, even with
AMC. Okay, the one thing I learned about AMC is 2 things.
Mm-hmm.
The CEO is a bullshit artist. I had my friend in his skybox at the Kansas City game.
Yeah.
I put the picture up. The guy asked him point blank if he was going to do anything. He said no. Okay. Second, he raised money when it went to pay off all his debt because he was going bankrupt too, right?
Yep.
So he raised money, and what did he do with it? He paid off his debt. He still has more debt to go, but he cleaned up everything he was doing, for the most part.
Yeah.
So that's what the company's doing. They got a second chance in life thanks to short squeeze.
This is going to hurt. All right.
The best business model in the world is not getting the cure for cancer, not building any technology. It's a short squeeze. Squeeze the shorts, you raise all the money you want, and you're off to the races.
I thought it's being first.
Yeah. That's what it's supposed to be, but not in the U.S.
After the pre-market buyers on Monday, what will keep the price from falling after the market open?
Nothing. It may not even go up. I don't know. I have no idea.
Donna says.
Pre-market. Let's say the pre-market to 9:30 takes the stock to 350, right?
Yeah.
And it opens at 9:30.
Yeah.
That means the $2 option guy, okay, because he can't do anything but buy the stock.
Yeah.
That means he's down $1.50 on the 2s, right?
Yeah.
That means he's going to be down 50 or 60 cents on the 3s. Together, both of those could trigger 600,000 and 600,000 to buy $1.2 million out of the gate.
Yeah.
By the market maker, the option guy, nothing else. If the other shorts, the real short and the naked short, all of a sudden find themselves at 350, then they got a problem. Then they start panicking.
Yeah.
So you don't know. I don't know.
Gerald says, thank you for your advice. He's going to do something. Donna says, I'm afraid to put a GTC in because I can only put it in for $16 at Fidelity. And I'm afraid that'll go up.
Donna, if you're watching it, if you're around all day, put it in at 16. And if it starts to run, you just cancel it. If you're not around, then I would be careful.
I like this strategy. I don't, if it happens, oh gosh, the guy, it's not popping up. But anyway, he's saying he hopes the stock blasts through 3 so he can swap out his calls. Yeah, that's good thinking if it happens. Lion is saying that the finger $3 calls were in the money temporarily. That's true.
Yeah.
And it could happen again.
But it went to 309, right?
Gamma in options trading represents the rate of change in an options delta. Oh, that clarifies it. Gamma in options trading represents the rate of change in an options delta for a $1 change in the underlying asset's price. It measures the sensitivity of an options delta, which really clarifies everything.
Listen, that's all bullshit. An option expands and contracts based on buyers and sellers. That's it.
I thank you, Gary. I needed, for a guy like me, I need to know the sensitivity of my options delta. So that's why I look at the
That's all
gamma.
nonsense by one business school guys. If I'm paying a quarter in this 75-cent bid, that delta's good enough for me. I'll see you later. Some of those, and I'll buy the next ones for 30 cents.
So Mike wants you to make an ass out of yourself by predicting the price for next Friday.
I couldn't tell you. It could be gone on Monday. If you ask me, I think Monday, Tuesday, it's going to take off. It just feels like it. And I told people, I think you're fucking crazy if you're not involved. It's right there. At GameStop, which I told people, no one believed me because they knew the company was a shitty company. But they saw what can happen with a shitty company, right?
That's like when the guy says to W.C. Fields, why don't you buy her a puppy? Girls are crazy about animals. And he says, puppy doesn't have anything to do with it. They're just crazy.
I was watching Rodney Dangerfield the other night. He went to his therapist. He told him he had suicidal tendencies.
He wanted to be paid.
Pay me in advance.
I know I'm ugly. Last time I went to the therapist, he made me lie on the couch face down.
No, whatever. He said the other day he worked in a pet store. And people wanted to know how big does he get.
I know I'm ugly. My dad took me to the beach, to the zoo, and they thanked him for bringing me back.
Returned him. People, you got to sit down and go on YouTube and watch the best of Rodney Dangerfield. He's a true comedian, just shooting jokes out. One-liners, but boom, he just doesn't stop. It's amazing. He's not a storyteller. He's telling jokes, and he just keeps going. I mean, now he remembers them all.
I had a great waitress at Denny's. She could make a big boy in 3 minutes and a boy big in 2. The best is when Johnny Carson bursts up at his jokes.
Oh, he can't keep he can't help himself. So anyway, I really do believe that it's showtime. I've been saying it. It feels it. The president of the United States has thrown the hammer at the NASDAQ and FINRA.
He's also bombing Yemen, but we will...
I don't care about that.
Well, it's all right. Does Ham think $4 or $5 calls have a chance for May? I own the $3.
That's why I bought them. I bought them because I didn't think there's a chance in it.
If you have the $3 calls, Donna, I'm telling you,
sell them and buy the 5s.
If Ham is right, everything's gonna be hunky dory. But if for some reason this goes flattish for the next week, the bid will fall off of those. So I personally would take your profits in the 3s. And
so put the 3s. With the stock at $2.75, the 3s are 50 cents. You paid a dime for them. Put them out there right now. Put them out there to sell them at 75 cents to close. Put it in right now. If the stock goes to 3, they'll trade at 75. If the stock pulls back, they'll go back to 55. You sell them at 75. You wait it, hold your breath for 2 minutes, and then you buy the 5s at 30 cents.
Matthew's probably right. They're going to try to do a sell Monday morning. A cornered animal is dangerous, and you might be able to pick up shares or calls in the morning. We'll find out. But I really emphasize.
If the animal's so dangerous, for the gentleman who just said that, why did the stock go up on Friday?
It wanted to get across the road.
It's because they're running out of juice. They're running out of power. They're not letting it go up because they're our friends.
Big JR wants you to open a restaurant with him on Wall Street called Piker's Pizza. How about one of the candidates for the Pope's last name is Pizza Ball. That'd be a good name for a pizza restaurant. Pope Pizza Ball. What now? Why? I don't know what that question means. I didn't know you had to be Greek to trade options. From now on, though, I know, and I'm not making fun of the gentleman that helped me. I'm making fun of Wall Street. From now on, before I trade options, I'm going to check the gamma because I want to know my delta before I invest in an option.
Oh, these guys like to look at what's the intrinsic value of these things? What's it worth? You know, the $8 calls are basically worth nothing. The stock is $3. What the hell is it worth? $0. No shit. So you know, I don't need you to tell me that.
They're just dazzling you with their bullshit.
You need to have a gut feeling when you're trading. If you feel it's going up, what's the reason that finger motion will go past $8? Well, if they squeeze the stock, it's going past $8. Here's my reason. That's why I bought it.
The key with options more than any other thing, I was trying to explain it in one way, I guess a few days ago. When you own something and you hold it all the way back to zero, you talk about it or you think about it, God, that hurt. I lost all that money. That's punishment. I would rather be in the situation where I punish myself and my story at the table is, hey, I made 10 grand, but if I had held it, I could have made 15. At least I have my 10 grand. Take your profits.
I'll do one better, William. Wow, I bought these calls. I made 10,000. And then people say, what did the stock do after that? It went crazy, but you sold it. No, I sold the 3s and I bought the 5s.
Yeah.
Very little money. Yeah. And now I'm riding the tail again.
And I have my money off. It's the house money. Yeah, I like that too.
Right. That's the way to play.
Yeah, I always Ellie Belly. I get greedy with.
Unless you have complete inside information, then you wouldn't sell.
So Ellie, Ham's admonition that you never turn a winning trade in a loser is 10 times more powerful as it comes to options. Particularly when the premium is more than just time, when it's just speculative premium. I'm telling you, speculative premium can disappear in 30 seconds.
Listen, everybody's paying 5 cents, 10 cents, 15 cents, 20 cents. Those are close to zero. I mean, come on. So if you're nervous, you pay 20 cents, sell half of them at 30 cents, you make 10 cents, now your cost is 10 cents.
Yeah.
And you got half your position. Well, sell them at 30 cents, sell the 5s, and you buy the 6s at 15 cents.
Yeah. If you can't dazzle them with your brilliance, baffle them with your bullshit. Yeah. That's always been... That's always the go-to plan. Not right now. Why? I guess Ham thinks it is right now.
I do think it's right now.
Can you ask Ham? Can you ask Ham to explain his splitting of your position in 1/3 and making sure you get your money back and let the rest ride. That, I don't know Ham's ever said that. That's what I was always taught. If it goes up by a third, sell half your position. And of course I was young, I never did it, but that's what I was always trained. If it's up, if it goes up 50%, sell a third, sell it. If it's up,
People bought options at a nickel and a dime.
yeah.
Everyone on the phone paid down low. If you paid a dime and you sold half of them at 20 cents, you got all your money off the table and you got half your position for free.
Yeah.
You understand that?
I do.
If I bought 100 at a dime and I sold 50 at 20 cents, I got back all my money. And yet, I still got 50 calls for free.
Hey, Yucca, respectfully, I'm sure if Ellie wants to get hit on, she can go on one of those, whatever it is, Tinder or something. Just chill out. I'm not running a hit on the chicks website. I don't think it's polite. And I appreciate Ellie being here. She's not here to get picked up. She's here because she's trading like everyone else. So anyway.
If Ellie wants to hear some bad lines, give me a couple of drinks. I'll give them all the ones that I used to use.
I bet they were bad too.
Oh, God. I started out by giving all my best lines, and then I was down to begging. People ask away because Monday morning's going to come quick.
Yeah, I need to get another dog. I don't know. I personally, I think I need another person in my life so I don't want a dog to be alone.
I'll do like I did as an idiot. I got 2 dogs, and it's like chaos. They ripped apart the couch. They're peeing, they're shitting, they're running through the flowers. It's like chaos. They're up at 5 in the morning. I'm exhausted.
Well,
but they play with each other. That's good.
I don't, this is the thing. Guys, on these sites, when you see the word bag holder, just don't take the person seriously.
That's a term. Listen, here's the terms. Bag holder, piece of shit, all right? Pump and dump. Those are all the criminals posting that stuff.
Yeah.
No one who owns the stock is going to say, hey, you're a bag holder. No one says that. No one says those terms.
No. I have enough money to buy 500 shares at 280. Should I use half the money for shares and the other half for options? That's up to you. I mean, that's one approach. I would just take a piece.
How many shares do you have? Do you have any other shares?
He didn't say that. He doesn't say if he has other. I would just take a pad of paper, and if you drink a dram of whiskey, sit down and draw out the different scenarios, and then plan your action and execute in the morning.
Hold on, I just got caught in a...
All right, Ham, I'm going to quit in 3 minutes because I got a long way to go.
I got to get my medicine. Any other questions? Anyone who's nervous, pick a spot, sell some stock above the market, sell it at 310, sell it at 320, sell 100 here, sell some calls, put them out for sale. If it pulls back, if it doesn't pull back, you made a sell. If it pulls back, you can buy it back. That's it. There's nothing to say. If you want to get long, I do believe that the cheaper calls are better place to be. I'd rather own more and then in the money calls. I'd rather own out of the money calls.
I don't know any of those.
But I can't predict something that I don't know what it's going to do until I see it.
Okay.
I'll tell you what. At 9:30 on Monday, I'll post down exactly what the options, what I see. Read my post on Monday at 9:30.
All right. So good luck, and I hope you feel better.
Get out of here,
All
but
right.
I'm going to get my medicine. I'll speak to you later.
All right, bye. 2 minutes, I'm going to hang up. Real Rugged, I don't know any of those stocks. I kind of recognize KOSS. MMTLP doesn't trade. As a suggestion, just a blanket suggestion, I can't give you advice because I don't know your situation. That's a bunch of crap you own in your account. But I've had a lot of crap in my account. These are not the greatest items to own. But I would suggest to you, maybe you go through there, clear it all out, stop being a bag holder, stop hoping and wishing, sell them, take your losses. Right now, the good thing is you can buy stocks that will give you your money back. I think there's no guarantees. I think NIXX this week, next week, third week could give you double on your money or significantly more. I think if you're patient, you can buy a 30-cent stock, Railtown, and you can make 10 times on your money. You won't be in the excitement with everyone else. You won't be able to come down on here and join in. But hey, 10 times your money is 10 times your money. All right, and I want to remind everybody, please, after the market opens, you know, I don't think it matters how you trade, but if you are going to join in this rumored buying of shares at 9:15, please don't do it. I am against it. I'm warning you. It's illegal. Please don't do it. And then I'm gonna go get my haircut. And thank you, Ellie Belly. I'm sorry if that guy made you uncomfortable. It was nice to see you here. Thanks to everybody for being on. Remember to say prayers for Robert Weiss, for Jenny L, and anybody on here in our community who is suffering. And with that, I wish you the best of the rest of the day. Enjoy the Kentucky Derby if you can. Cheers.